When the Sithrax first arrived in the Nidar expanse, the galaxy took notice. Tall as siege mechs, covered in carbonized chitin with 6 razor limbs and jaws that could bite through steel, the Sithrax were Deathworlders from a world so hostile it was known simply as the Maw. They didn't negotiate. They didn't reason. They fed. It began with remote colonies, power relays torn apart, mining outposts found slick with blood and claw marks. When a patrol fleet finally captured footage, the Galactic Council watched in horror as a single Sithrax warrior ripped through a platoon of mercenary peacekeepers like paper. Civilizations that once boasted planetary shields and dreadnoughts trembled. The Sithrax didn't care about credits or alliances, they only wanted prey. They devoured the Trailani, the Urim, the Volitions. Apex predators that made lesser species flee entire star systems. And then they reached Earth. It started in the ruins of Detroit, where the local militia first spotted them. Towering insectoid shapes moving in the snow, their serrated forelimbs glinting under the city's battered floodlights. By the time the news feeds broadcast the footage, the world knew. The so-called kings of predators were here. Major Ashira Collins stood on the barricade of the southern wall, helmet visor flickering with thermal scans. She could see them now, 2 shapes weaving between abandoned buildings, sniffing the air, hunting. Behind her, the last of her platoon was gearing up. Young recruits, mostly hunters, ex-miners, ex-convicts, anyone who knew how to survive. Earth had no time to call the UN fleet. They would stand or they would die. She toggled her comms. Command, this is Echo Red. Sithrax in visual range. Recommend immediate drone strikes. The line crackled. Negative Echo Red. They're too close to civvies. You're it. Ashira snorted under her breath. Typical. Humanity had always been outnumbered. Always outgunned. But they were never outwilled. She switched to local. Listen up. These things think they're gods of the food chain. Let's remind them whose world this is. Aim for the underlate's base of the neck. Don't let them get close. If they do, go feral. One of the younger soldiers, a lanky 19-year-old with a hunting rifle, asked the question that hung in the cold air. What if they don't stop? Ashira's lips curled. Then we make sure they regret ever setting claw on Earth. The first Sithrax lunged through the snowdrift like a nightmare uncoiling. Ashira squeezed the trigger of her Gauss rifle. Hyper-accelerated slugs smashed into its chitin, punching holes that steamed in the winter air. The creature shrieked, an ear-splitting sound that rattled windows half a mile away. 2 more burst from the alleyways, hacking apart a defensive drone with 1 swipe. But the humans didn't scatter. They didn't run. They adapted. A hunter named Jace leapt onto a half-collapsed truck, drawing one Sithrax's attention. He fired, ducked under its claws, and lured it into a kill box where 5 others opened up from the rooftops. Another predator fell to an improvised tripwire that detonated a canister of mining explosives, turning snow, steel, and chitin into a crater of charred gore. The Sithrax were confused. On every other world, prey fled. Here, the prey turned traps into weapons, old ruins into mazes, fear into fuel. One of the Sithrax roared as it cornered Ashira near a burned-out supermarket. It lunged fast, faster than any human could dodge. But Ashira didn't flinch. She jammed her last thermal grenade under its exposed thorax just as its jaws clamped down on her arm. She met its eyes, black and alien, and grinned. You picked the wrong planet. She yanked the pin. The blast took the beast apart in a cloud of flame and chitin shards. Ashira stumbled out of the smoke, arm bleeding but eyes alight. Behind her, the last few Sithrax howled into the blizzard, torn between hunger and an emotion they'd never known before, fear. By dawn, the streets of Detroit were silent again except for the crunch of human boots. Charred carcasses of the so-called apex predators lay scattered among broken barricades. A single banner fluttered above the main drag, scrawled with black spray paint, Deathworlders fight back. Ashira leaned on the barricade, bandaged arm in a sling, watching the medics gather the wounded. In every comm channel, she heard it across bunkers and shelters and half-burned town halls. The Sithrax are dead. Earth stands. Humans killed them all. Word spread fast beyond Earth's battered orbit. The galaxy's so-called kings of the food chain had met something worse than themselves, creatures that didn't just survive hell. They throve in it. The message was clear. The Sithrax were the apex predators until they landed on Earth.